My friends, hello. So today let's talk about how we can make friends in a really quick way. I had an experience with my son. He was born with a little defect in his kidney that we needed to get corrected, and so he's fine and he's healthy. But it was a little procedure that we knew was going to have to take place, and so he was in a X-ray tube as a doctor was monitoring him for a period of time, and we just had to watch him basically as they scanned and did their thing. And this doctor, he had cared for our daughter when she was 2 days old, and he had actually cared for my brother when my brother was a small child. So I had a little bit of a history with this guy, and we had 45 minutes or so together. And so I just started asking him some questions about himself. I started asking him about, how did you decide to go into medicine? What was like the most outrageous case? What was the most miraculous thing you've had the opportunity to see? And he starts telling me these stories. And he's telling me about, all of a sudden now he starts talking about how he met his wife and how they started dating and they lived above a bar and they went ice skating and all these things. Like this great, beautiful story about really his whole life. And he just kept going and going and going and going and going and going and going until the point that he wipes a tear from his eye and he kind of like shakes his head and he goes, I don't know why I told you all that. I don't know if that was even professional, but whatever. And he just kind of looked at me and smiled. And when we were done that day, he gave me a really friendly handshake and kind of like a half hug, which was out of the norm for this guy. And so the experience there, what you can do, what you can pick up from my experience here, is how to make friends quickly. All we have to do, it's a really easy formula. All we have to do to get anyone to like us is make them feel like we're really, really interested in them. And we demonstrate how we're interested in them. Here's the thing, you actually probably should be. Don't just pretend to be. But here's how you demonstrate that you're interested. You ask them a question. And you listen. And you don't say, oh, me too. Oh, let me tell you about my story. You ask them a question and you listen. And then you give them some affirmation, some love for what they shared with you. Pick anything at all. This gentleman, he shared how he lived above a bar. He said, oh, living above a bar, that'd be so incredible. I have a friend who lives above a bar in Chicago, and man, that must have been the coolest experience ever. You must have been so popular with your friends. Just that little something. And then he kept going. He talked about his girlfriend, who became his wife. You ask a question, you give appreciation. You ask a question, you give appreciation. You ask a question, you give appreciation. Rinse, repeat. Do it as many times as you need to. And what's going to happen is people are going to find you to be a fascinating person because they're talking about themselves. And what happens is when we talk about ourselves and other people listen, is we feel like that person really cares about us. And we actually subconsciously think the conversation was really stimulating, even though it was a one-way conversation. So we think the listener is fascinating. So you can use this to your advantage. We use what works. We know how our brains work. We use what works. Ask a question, give appreciation. When you do this, people will like you, people will find you to be interesting and fascinating, and you will develop friends very, very rapidly.